Okay. Mm-hmm. No. Oh. Hello. Okay. 3, 2, 3, 2, 1. Are you fucking kidding me right now? I need more gain? Like less noise suppression? But do I put... Hello? 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 What is the difference? The fuck is the difference? What the fuck is the difference? Oh my god, turd burglars. 3, 2, 1. Hello everybody, Anti-HyperLink here. Welcome back to Let's Play Pokémon Scarlet. And also, you know, the Google LM thing. That last bit was just kinda... I guess that could be an in-between episode where I didn't play the game at all. This is me. I put the Jason chapter invite. Once again, these are scrapped chapters, but I am going to be using this.
Okay, so for this deep dive...
But, yeah. Things again. I want to turn something else into a plain text document. See what happens now.
We're going to be looking at the opening chapter of Between the Worlds, the Emerald Hood Jason 1.
Sounds intriguing.
It is. And since you're interested in writing yourself,
Hello,
we're going to break down what works or what...
You're still here, Scarlet. Pulled into the director's office. Ooh, really? Who the fuck is writing this? Oof. Yikes. Wholesome, toxic, problematic, sort of, are all shit words that I hate. Narcissistic. And people use, like, political parties as insults. How'd you land in that much trouble already? No, kidding. I know it wasn't like that. Mr. Jacques wanted me to show you the way to your room in the school dorms. I don't know what accent that was. Your very own private room, Scarlet. Let's go, check it out. Bitch, can you leave me alone? I have cookies. Dude, what the fuck? Is it like a whole fucking apartment? I wish I could go to boarding school.
needs work in this first chapter, especially when it comes to hooking the reader.
The first chapter is so important. You really have to grab the reader's attention.
Exactly. And in this case, the author uses a birthday party, usually a happy occasion, to subtly create tension right from the start.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Well, it's Jason's birthday, sure, but the party's really more for his father, which I think sets up an interesting dynamic. What do you think?
Definitely. It makes you wonder about their relationship right away.
It's true. And speaking of dynamics, Jason's family is clearly well off, but he seems almost uncomfortable with their wealth. Did you get that sense?
Absolutely. And it's done so well because the author doesn't just tell us, they show us through Jason's reactions. Like, remember when his mother reminds him about being independent?
Oh, yeah.
Thing. I think she reminds her. Chan, from today, this is your... Actually, it's as new to me as it is to you. Never been in here before. Maybe check out your new bed. It looks comfy. You must be pretty worn out from all this stuff happening on your very first day, huh? Hey, man. A fucking accent boy. A quick rest on that bed is all you'll need to get yourself and your Pokemon healthy again. Niña, niño. Niña, niño. Sprigatito. Just saying Sprigatito sounds Italian. Sprigatito. How close are Italy and Spain in terms of culture? And how close are they in terms of language? Even when learning the language, it's sort of similar.
Yeah.
It's a loaded comment.
Yeah.
Especially given how Jason reacts. It's like he's almost ashamed of his family's wealth.
It's like there's this underlying tension between Jason and his family's wealth, even though his dad seems like he tries to use his money for good. I don't know. Plus, the author doesn't just say a town. It's Shanty Bay, Ontario, around 7 p.m. What do you make of all that detail? Too much.
I think grounding the story in a specific time and place, especially one that feels real, strengthens the world building, don't you think?
Yeah.
It helps immerse the reader in the story.
That's a good point.
It makes you feel like you could book a flight and end up right there alongside the characters.
I can get behind that. Okay, so we've got this party. We're starting to understand Jason and his family. But what about the superhero aspect? I mean, we are talking about a superhero novel here.
Right, and what's interesting is how the author doesn't just hit us over the head with it. Like, we hear about the Emerald Hood, there are mentions of other heroes fighting street crime. It's all woven in subtly, which I think builds anticipation for the larger world.
It's like those little breadcrumbs that keep you, as a reader, hungry for more.
Exactly.
You just have to know more about them. They make you wonder, like, when are we going to meet this Emerald Hood? What's their deal?
Exactly. And one of the key ways the author reveals those details is through dialogue, like that conversation between Jason and his father on the porch.
That scene on the porch was packed with information.
It really was.
We learned so much about their relationship, Yeah.
It's clear there's love and respect there.
Right.
But also some unspoken tension.
Yeah, definitely.
Did you catch that vibe?
Absolutely.
Like there's something more they're not saying.
Sounds like there's two women there.
And the author uses that conversation to not only develop their bond, but also to hint at a more complicated family history.
Okay, interesting.
Remember Jason's grandfather?
The one who, like, built the family fortune or whatever?
The one who built the family fortune.
Yeah.
It seems like there might be some unresolved issues there, especially when the father mentions fighting against corruption.
And that whole hive of scum and villainy line from the dad.
Yeah.
I don't know. I felt like it was a little out of place, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, it's like trying a little too hard to be cool. I see what you mean. It did feel a bit jarring compared to the more serious tone of the conversation.
Right.
But maybe that's the point.
Okay.
Maybe the author is trying to show that the father has a lighter side.
I guess.
Which could make the accusations against him later even more impactful.
That's an interesting take. I hadn't thought about it like that.
Yeah.
But you're right, just as things are getting really heavy between Jason and
What
his
do these
dad.
voices sound
Bam!
familiar?
Enter the twin brother, Jimmy.
Right.
Talk about a well-placed interruption.
It's classic dramatic timing.
For sure.
Just when you think they're about to delve into something juicy,
Yes.
the author throws in a curveball.
Totally.
It leaves you on the edge of your seat, wondering what Jason was about to uncover.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then just when you think things couldn't get any more complicated, we're hit with that radio announcement in the car.
Oh, yeah?
Talk about taking the reader on a roller coaster ride.
It's such a clever way to escalate the tension.
Seriously.
One minute they're leaving the party, the next minute their entire world is potentially collapsing around them.
And the way the author uses that news report, not just telling us about it,
Right.
but letting us hear it through the car radio,
Mm-hmm.
it's like we're right there with them.
Yeah.
You can practice.
Should I take, like, compliments and criticism from something that was generated by AI too hard? Now, talk to ChatGPT and Claude about my writing many times, and also my programming, like my games, and I guess methods for streaming and let's play and stuff. And many times they're like, oh, that's a clever way to do that. That's a clever way to set up your game. That's a clever way to clever or innovative or whatever. The writing or the game, it's complimented me. Should I be happy about that? Should I just be like, okay, it's an AI, it's not a real person? I think it doesn't have an opinion. It's not real. So how do I know? Like, 15 people could read the same story and be like, I disagree with everything these AI voices said. They're a terrible writer. Just because 15 people don't like my doesn't mean terrible. I could have, like, person after person saying, no, I disagree with what the AI said. Your writing is terrible. And now if two people actually read that and said those things, and then a bunch of people disagreed, I'd be like, okay, well, somebody likes my story. Now, I would really only take the opinion of actual writers to heart. It's a lot of people comment about things that they don't fucking understand. That's the thing with life, society. People go on and on about things that they don't really understand. That they know nothing about. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't really have a place to have an opinion. Because they're not an expert in these. If a bunch of writers found my work great, a bunch of never written anything and barely read, and the only thing that they like is non-linear storytelling, you know, the exact opposite of good writers, said that it's terrible, well then I'm gonna be like, okay, obviously I'm a good writer. If a bunch of people of varying degrees of expertise and experience with writing or reading or whatever didn't like my work, but a bunch of authors did, I'd still be like, okay, well, a bunch of writers said I'm a writer. Stephen fucking King said, wow, your writing is genius. But fucking Jamal Johnson, Jamiroquai, Jackie Gleason, Jackie Burleham, Baron Carpenter. Just saying random names, and then Jason Bourne. Jason Forrest didn't like my writing. Like, you're in my writing, sir. Jake Johnson did like my writing. I'd be like, well, is Zoe Deschanel nice in person? She's hot and
Practically feel the tension in that car.
It's a brilliant example of immersive storytelling.
Totally.
The author wants us to experience those feelings of shock and disbelief alongside the characters, not just read about them.
Which brings us to Jason's reaction.
Oh boy.
I mean, talk about going from 0 to 60. 1 minute he's joking with his brother, the next he's jumping out of a moving car.
It's a dramatic reaction,
it's not a moving car.
for sure.
It stops the car.
But if you consider everything that's
Just stop the
happened
car
leading
and
up to
it
that
stops.
point,
Oh.
It stops
the
it.
party, the conversation with his father, the news report,
Right.
it makes sense. Jason's already on edge about his family's wealth, and now this. It confirms his worst fears.
It's like all the underlying tension just boils over in that
I don't
moment.
think I ever
Exactly.
had
But on the
him
other hand, we have Nick, Jason's
disliking
best
his-
friend,
Yeah.
who seems strangely
his best
calm
friend.
amidst the
One of his best
chaos.
friends.
Right.
What's his deal?
Now that's where things get really interesting. Nick's reaction, or lack thereof,
Yeah,
is definitely suspicious.
very suspicious.
He's oddly certain that the accusations against Jason's father are false.
Yeah.
Almost like he knows something the others don't.
It's like he's got this whole secret agenda going on.
Right. And that line where he says to Jason, "Get in the car and I'll tell you."
Oh, I know.
Classic cliffhanger.
The worst.
The author just leaves us hanging there,
Dying to
That's
know.
a good
dying
thing.
to know what Nick knows and whether we can trust him.
Exactly. It's like we're juggling multiple mysteries at once. We've
Wait a
got
minute.
the accusations against Jason's father, the mystery surrounding the Emerald Hood, and now this whole Nick situation.
Yeah.
It's a lot to throw at the reader in one chapter, isn't it?
It
It
is,
makes
but
me
it's a
smile when I hear
calculated
that.
risk, I think.
Okay.
By layering these different plot lines,
But again, it's an AI. And I take it to heart. And I'd be like, am I allowed to be happy that two non-existent people generated by AI think my writing is?
Easy.
lines early on, the author creates this sense of intrigue and suspense that keeps the reader hooked.
Okay, I can see that.
Think about it.
Yeah.
Each thread is interesting on its own,
Yeah.
but woven together, they create this intricate web that you just have to untangle.
So, does this opening chapter work? Would you keep reading?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Is it perfect?
Hmm.
Maybe not.
Right.
But the author takes some risks,
Yeah.
throws a lot at us,
Mhm.
and that ending definitely makes you want to turn the page.
For sure. I'm already picturing myself at a bookstore, frantically flipping through the pages, trying to figure out what happens next.
That's the mark of a strong opening chapter, I think.
Yeah.
It's not just about introducing characters and setting.
Right.
It's about sparking the reader's curiosity
Right.
and making them really invest in the story.
And I think this author definitely did that.
Yeah.
Now, here's something for you listening to think about. If you were Jason, what would be your next move? Would you try to clear your father's name? Would you confront Nick and demand answers? Or would you vanish into the night like a true superhero in the making? Something to ponder. Until next time, happy reading.
I didn't finish the next chapter, but I did show it on previous streams. So that's all I wrote. Setting and Find something. Put in. Huh? Huh. Okay. Could make second one. Ooh, text. Okay, but I haven't written enough of it. Print this text document. See what it says. Why is it opening it twice? So much farting. separate videos. Hey, where the fuck is that? It's not there. See you tomorrow when you've rested up, then we can battle even more. Take care. I don't know what you're actually looking at. Okay, sorry that you didn't see that. You saw it on the screen for the longest time, so... Oh, for the longest time. Whoa, the longest. So inspired by it and happen for the longest. Oh, 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 the longest for the... Yeah, you get this fucking... I can't even use my fucking microwave. Home personal kitchen. I can't even go in my bathroom. I can't even go into the bathroom. No. Fine. Door. Days quickly fly by after you start your new life at Running Academy, and then the last day arrives for your true adventure to begin. Attention all students, today marks the beginning of an important new assignment. Hello, 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 hello? What the fuck? Is it actually gonna fucking... God, I swear to fuck. Elgato's sound capture is suddenly just fucking up my day. Please assemble in the schoolyard where I will explain in more detail. Please assemble in the schoolyard where I will explain in more detail. Whatever. Oh my god, bitch, get out of my room. It's time! I've been waiting forever for this. Come on. Schoolyard. Sweet, here we go. Wonder how much it's gonna hallucinate this.
All right, so today we're doing something kind of different.
Oh.
We're going deep on just one little piece of writing.
Just a snippet.
A single excerpt, yeah. From a longer story. Still a work in progress, actually. But even with just these few pages...
You think there's enough there?
Oh, I know there is. It's packed, trust me. And this way, it's like we get to peek behind the curtain, see the author's process in action.
I do love a good behind-the-scenes look. So what's the source material?
Okay, get ready.
Independent study assignment. It's so stupid. As usual, the theme will be a treasure hunt. Ask each of you to explore the world in search of your own treasure. The region of the world. You have learned much within the walls of our fine academy. I haven't learned yet. Now it's time to turn your eyes upon the wider world and deepen your understanding. Explore Paldea's abundant nature. Soak in its rich culture. Discover the Pokémon that live here. What rich culture? And get to know the people too. People that you can't go invade their homes. And will you travel? Who will you meet? I didn't read the rest of that. Of course, your Pokémon partners will be there to help you. We'll journey together. Learn new things together. Share each other's thoughts and feelings. What? And find something you might always treasure. How about school? I look forward to welcoming you back after your independent study, and you return to us as fine young trainer. Let the treasure hunt begin. Onward. So weird. It's just so weird.
For it. It's called Nexus of Worlds Trouble at the Academy, Emerald Hood, Robert-2.txt.
Catchy.
Right. But hey, it does give you a sense of what we're dealing with here. Sounds like alternate realities, maybe some kind of training program.
Yeah.
And is that a hint of Robin Hood I detect?
It's time for the
I was thinking the same thing, and you're right. Just from that title alone,
Cyclists
there are
we're
already
writing out.
so many directions the author could go.
Exactly.
Take care, everyone, and remember the Great Crater Paldea is exceedingly dangerous. Doing it is a violation of school rules. That doesn't make any sense. What are you waiting for, Scarlet? Let's go! Like, entering a crater is against the school rules? There are lots of different people in Pokemon at the school. You're part of the variety.
And the excerpt jumps right into it, too. We meet 3 different versions of the same guy, all named Robert. And each one is haunted by this past decision they made.
A decision with some serious consequences, it sounds like.
Oh, yeah.
2 different versions.
See? They all sent this young boy, Jimmy, to live on a different Earth.
Whoa. And now they're dealing with the fallout of that choice.
Big time. And it gets right into those what-if scenarios we all think about, Like, what if you can meet the version of yourself who made a different choice? How would that change how you feel about your own life?
That's a heavy question, man.
Right. And the excerpt zeroes in on this one guy, Robert 2, who's really wrestling with the consequences of sending Jimmy away. You can hear it in his dialogue, always second-guessing himself.
Oh, like he's stuck in the past.
Totally. He's constantly saying things like, maybe it would have been better, or what if things had been different? It's like he's trapped in this loop of regret, made even worse by the fact that he's surrounded by these other versions of himself.
So not just one Robert, but multiple Roberts, each shaped by their own unique experiences.
Yeah, exactly. The excerpt actually mentions a Robert 7, meaning there are at least 7 different versions of this guy running around.
Wow, okay, so the author isn't shying away from really digging into the implications of a multiverse, huh?
Not at all. And it makes you think about how our choices define who we are. you know?
It does.
Like, if there are infinite versions of yourself out there, does that diminish the choices you make in this reality?
That's a big question to grapple with, for sure. It reminds me of that whole nature versus nurture debate. Is our path predetermined, or do our experiences truly shape who we become?
That's like the authors using these multiple Roberts as a way to explore that very question.
Which is a pretty clever way to handle it, I have to say. And it's not just
Yep,
about the
that's
Roberts,
totally
is it?
what
I
I'm
mean, we've got
doing.
Jason and Jenny, the kids Robert 2 sent away. They ended up on a whole other Earth, different parents, the works. But they
No,
still seem to have turned out, well, kind of similar to how you'd expect.
Jimmy.
That's what's wild, right? It's like, even with
Jimmy
different
was sent
upbringings,
away.
some patterns repeat themselves. Though we should probably address the elephant in the room here.
Oh yeah, we can't just gloss over that.
Right, because Jason and Jenny's parents on this other Earth, they weren't exactly winning any parenting awards.
To put it mildly, the excerpt mentions them siding with an alien who thinks he's a god, which,
Yeah, talk about a curveball just
That's
casually dropped
Jason-
in there like it's normal.
Jason and
totally. It's like,
Jenny.
oh, by the way, alien overlord situation, no big deal. But seriously, you have to wonder how growing up with those parents affected them.
It adds a whole other layer to Robert 2's dilemma too, doesn't it?
100%. Like, was he just trying to keep
those are
them
the ones
physically
that
safe?
Didn't get
Or was
sent
it more
away.
than that?
Like, he was trying to get them away from a toxic environment too.
Exactly. Suddenly, his
Very
motives
toxic.
become a lot more complicated, and his guilt even more understandable.
And that's what I love about how the author's handling these characters. Nobody's just good or bad, you know? They're all shaped
Just
by
bad
their
and
past,
not
their
toxic.
circumstances.
It makes you invested in their stories, even if you don't always agree with their choices.
For sure. And then, of course, we've got the whole Emerald Hood thing thrown into the mix. Turns out, it's not just one guy with a cool suit. On multiple Earths, you've got these different versions of these characters all taking up that mantle.
It's like a classic archetype, right? The hero fighting against the odds. But then the author twists it, showing how that same idea can play out so differently depending on the world.
Exactly. Like Robert 2's Emerald Hood getup, it's more traditional, kind of what you'd picture. But then Robert 3's, it's all high-tech, cutting edge.
Subtle way of showing how different these Earths really are, technologically speaking.
Right. But the core idea, this desire for justice, for fighting for the little guy, it seems to transcend those differences.
Absolutely. And then things get really interesting when we get to that big battle scene. It's chaos with different factions clashing, and you're not even sure who to root for at first.
Because it's not clear-cut good versus evil anymore.
Not at all. I
Yes,
mean,
it
you've got
is.
Robert 2 and Robert 3. They're fighting alongside Jimmy. But on the other side, well, it looks like they might be facing off against some other versions of themselves, including those kids all grown up, Jason and Jenny.
Whoa.
No.
Talk about a mind bender. So now the question becomes, did Robert 2 accidentally create his own enemies? Like, by
No.
trying to do the right thing, did he actually make things worse in the long
Yes,
And
but
the
not
excerpt
Jason
doesn't
and
give us an
Jenny.
easy
Fine.
answer, which is
But
part
not
of what
the
makes
bad
it so
guys.
thought-provoking, you know? You finish reading, and you're still wrestling with those questions.
And then there are all these little clues sprinkled throughout, these hints that there's even more to the story than we're seeing.
Like breadcrumbs leading you down a rabbit hole.
Exactly. Like that offhand mention of there being 7 Earths, not just the 4 we'd heard about before. Why 7? And what connects
was
them all?
everyone?
Right, we get that one line about the 7 seas, but it's so vague. Is that a clue? A metaphor.
It's like the author's just toying with us at this point.
It's a
In the best
joke.
way possible. You want to know more, right? You're invested in unraveling the mystery.
It's like, okay, we're already dealing with multiple versions of these characters, right?
Yeah.
But then it's like the author's saying, hold on, I've got a whole other layer for you.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be so easy to just go crazy with the multiverse stuff. Just throw it all at the wall and see what sticks.
Right. But you can tell this author's really thinking it through. Like they're using this story to explore some big philosophical ideas about what it means to be human.
100%. And they're doing it through these characters who feel so real, even with all the sci-fi craziness going on around them.
Totally. Like, I actually care about what happens to Robert too, even knowing there are like 6 other versions of him out there.
It's that whole thing we were talking about before, right? About choices and consequences. Like, we see how heavy that weighs on Robert too. And then with Jason and Jenny, you see that resentment they have.
And even Nicholas,
No.
that apprentice Robert 3 has with him, he's got his own anxieties and insecurities.
Yeah.
It's like each of these characters, they show us a different side of what it means to be human.
Absolutely. And it makes you wonder, you know, what if we met our multiverse counterparts? What would they be like?
Would we even recognize them as versions of ourselves?
Right. It's a mind-blowing concept to think about. And honestly, it's something I'd never really
The story is very clear. Jason and Jenny are the kids on Earth 7. The Jimmy from Earth 1 ended up on Earth 7. A few years later, he was discovered by Roberts 2 and 3, and they said, "You need to stay here because your parents are terrible." Jenny is the female version of Jimmy. Instead of 2 twin boys, Robert and Emily on Earth 7 had a boy and a girl. So he's not exactly another version of Jimmy. Like if it had been a single birth, then you could say that because it's the same conception. Because they're twins, it's a little random and ended than that. Like if fucking sperm cell or zygote or whatever that became me became female, and that would say fucking Emily Elizabeth Kirkwood over there, the female version. But if I had a twin brother, and on another Earth, that twin brother has a twin sister, and I'm not there, that really but
considered before diving into this excerpt.
That's the power of speculative fiction, though, right?
Yeah,
It takes these big what-if questions and makes you really sit with them.
for sure. And sometimes all it takes is a single scene, a single page to spark those questions and make you see the world in a whole new way.
Exactly. And I think for anyone listening who's ever wondered about those other paths not taken, or what their life might be like if they'd made different choices, well, this excerpt is definitely one that'll stick with you.
It really makes you appreciate the power of a good story and how even a small snippet can open up a whole universe of possibilities.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So there you have it, folks.
Multiverse.
Another deep dive, another glimpse into the creative process and the power of storytelling. Until next time.
you got it completely wrong. See, now it's becoming not so awesome because hallucinating things about what I gave. Oh, Mustang is the stream version though. Probably because I said 3 Emerald Hoods. But no, there's Emerald Hood from Earth 2, Emerald Hood from Earth 3, and Emerald Hood from Earth 3's Sun. I know a song that gets on everybody's nerves. Everyone's nerves. Everybody's nerves. Okay, I'll go. Scarlet, Scarlet! Playground, it's finally starting. What do they mean by treasure? Yeah, fair question since it's our first time. Come on, let's walk and talk. Playground is a huge part of the Naranja Academy school year. The point isn't to get us out all looking for some extra hidden treasure necessarily. We're more just making our own adventures to see what experiences Paldea's got to offer. Because the people playing the games don't want anything with a real story because it hurts their ADHD riddled brains. And the developers were like, oh, an excuse to be lazy. So they just got lazy. And then when that didn't work out, all the people who begged for an empty, nothing game got mad because it doesn't look that great. When you ask the developers to be lazy, don't complain when they're lazy. But they had to design this huge fucking world, and they barely knew what they were doing because they had fucking made 2D games for 20 years or whatever. and a bunch of man babies had a temper tantrum because it wasn't exactly what they asked. You could try to beat Pokemon gyms, you could help out people in need, you could hunt for real capital T treasure if you wanted. Even... Why isn't capital T treasure? And this is stupid. There's stuff we never learned sitting in a classroom, you know? Yeah, but that's what fucking school is for. Nothing in this game has anything to do with learning, besides the stuff in the school. What the fuck is on her wrist? What the fuck is on her hand? Like, Hmm. And what about document?
How is everyone? Welcome, Restream bot. How is everyone? I'm hungry.